Can all the locals here, let's try and limit the questions to only pshat questions until after, if we can. He just hit record, right? Okay, for those out there, if you have any questions, those that are on Zoom, um, should just post the questions in the chat, and those that are not on Zoom should text the chat, and then the questions will be asked. Yes, I'm supposed to. They're posting. I'm just reading off the questions here. They wanted a chazara on waiting for hard cheese. I just posted that chazara. Yes, I'm supposed to write a summary. If anybody here writes a summary, like a short one that's typed up, they can send it to me, and then I'll send it out, or I'll give it to those that send things out. Yeah, just the kids. I have some stuff written up. It's just a little bit. It's a little bit unclear.
I'm saying last year my notes were 3 pages. I don't know.
Right, no. We want like short, but no, 3 pages is very good. We would like we'd like the shorter the better. Okay. I would like to finish Siman Pay test tonight, but there's a lot of information. Really a lot of practical information that shilas that come up and halacha that comes up all the time. So let's try and finish it. But the only problem is I have no recollection where we left off from last week.
Sorry,
Yeah, I know we did. I think we went through some of the Ramah.
Yeah.
Okay, one second.
I think we got
We'll do the
the shop.
initial. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay, we're learning Lila Nishmas, Shlomo Abba ben David HaKoyen, Chaim Simcha ben Gershon, Aaron Nosson ben Moshe Shimon, Yaakov ben Moshe, and then I saw in the paper that there was another bumper that was lifted this week in Lakewood, so I don't know his name, so Lila Nishmas him too. And anybody else?
And Shlomo Salzman.
That was his name?
No, that's not fine.
Somebody, you want to do
Yeah.
Chaim and Yehuda. They should also, the Shamas should have an aliyah. Gotta add him to the list here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You remind me later.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think did we do Rebbe Kiva Eger last week?
No.
We did the Shach though. We did do the Shach
Yeah.
or whatever the. Okay, so let's just chazer just to get locked in on what we're talking about because it comes up a lot. So the Ramah had said, the Ramah and Sif Gimel had said that the minig that you have to wait for 6 hours does not apply to meat utensils, right? Meaning if you take a meat utensil like right now, yeah, you cooked your cholent this afternoon, then you cleaned out the cholent pot, and it was a boy cleaning out the cholent pot. Well, that's the teretz. It was a woman. First, let's go slow, right? The woman cleaned out the cholent pot, so it's perfectly clean. And now you went and you made pasta for Motzei Shabbos in the cholent pot, right? You didn't put the cheese in it, right? Then that would be the guy making the right. Put the cheese in it. You just made the pasta in the cholent pot. Then you eat the pasta. You have to wait 6 hours.
No.
So the Ramah says you don't have to wait 6 hours, right? That the minig does not extend to that. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people ask this question, and the question makes a lot of sense initially. If you, is the pasta fleischiks?
Yeah.
Well, it is. It is. Are you allowed to put cheese on this pasta?
No.
You're not allowed to. So it's fleischiks, right? The pasta is fleischiks, right?
Something like putting fries like a cheese on one. It's pushing fish.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the fries, right? But lemaisa, it's fleishik, so nobody's gonna. Svardim could put cheese on it lechatchila. Ashkenazim lechatchila can't put cheese, but if they did put cheese, then it's okay.
Why Spartan?
That we're gonna get to that. But that's not tonight. I'm saying when we learn the sugi. Yeah. But the point is that basically it's in no man's land. It has some properties of being fleishiks, but yet you don't have to wait. The Ramah says you don't have to wait 6 hours. To which the Shach asks, well, what's the chiddush of the Ramah? If in theory, if you put cheese, according to everybody, if you took this pasta and you put cheese on it, right, not in the fleishik pot, you took it out of the fleishik pot and you put it onto a plate, and then you put on cheese and you melted the cheese in the microwave, then it is, according to all opinions, perfectly mutter to eat that food. If you throw out that food, which I imagine most of Klal Yisrael will throw out that food, right, then you are over on Bal Tashlis. No question. Right, again, pasta cooked in a fleishik pot that was used that day, that was then put onto a plate, and then you added cheese, then you are 100% allowed to eat that. Svardim are allowed to even put the cheese onto the pasta lichatchila once it's out of the fleshik pot. Right, so that's the shas kasha. So if you can add cheese, b'diavad, if the cheese was added, it's kosher. So of course you don't have to wait 6 hours. Right? It's pashut. What's the Rama saying? To which the shach answered, if it's the guy that cleaned the cholent pot, which means, I'm not trying to say lashon hara on guys, but we're just trying to be very practical here. Yes, that the pot was probably not cleaned so well. So there's actual fleishiks in there. It's still going to be okay, and you don't have to wait 6 hours.
You can still add cheese.
And you would be able to add cheese. If not, you can't add cheese l'chatchila. If cheese, so now that's gonna depend on that's going to depend on the pischei tshuva zayin. That's I think what we're up to. So pischei tshuva zayin, right? So b'gedei shel basar, ayin berheite b'shem hashach, b'nira the rotzalamer afilu ein shishim neged hatuach be'en. Even if there's no 60 times what's the meat residue that's in the pot, shal pi hakedera dim lekein hadakusha leduchte. The whole kasha comes back. Meaning, if there was no shishim, right? Meaning the guy cleaned the pot and he didn't do such a good job, right? So now there's meat residue in there. So was there 60 times more pasta than the meat residue? So the Pischei Tshuva is saying, right, that it has to be that even if there was no shishim, because if there was shishim, we know if there's more than 60 times anything, then the whole thing is nullified. So it has to be, the chiddush is that even if it's less than shishim, which means that the pasta has actual fleishiks in it, not taste coming out of the walls. It has actual fleishiks in that pasta since it's nullified in 60. I mean, even if it's not nullified in 60, you still would not have to wait 6 hours. Now, there are those that disagree with this, but that's the way the Pischei Tshuva is bringing it. Right? Are we understanding that?
But putting on cheese would be allowed still?
So then putting on cheese in that case would be no, because there's no shishim.
What if the cheese fell on it? In that case, when there's no
If the
shishim,
That's what we're saying.
Oh, then-
Right? If the cheese went on, then l'chayr would be a problem. Right? If there's no shishim.
Mm.
Right? Again, because there's residue.
Right.
Because there's residue. Okay, that's a whole sugi. Pshita, the tafsha shusam by ma'at shuman mutter lechal acher of gvina. Let's say you actually put a little bit of fats into your tavshel. You would be able to eat cheese. Afim loy hayashishim neged shuman. Even if there's no 60. Right? You hear what he's saying a chiddush. Right? So you have your par of cholent. Right? You have a par of cholent. And then you decided you need some meat. So you stuck in a little bit of meat in there. Well, he says shuman. You took in some meat fat and you put it in there, and there's no shishim. If there's shishim, it's pashut. You don't have to wait 6 hours, right? If there's no, right, even if you stuck dairy into your fleshik cholent, then it wouldn't be a problem. So here you stuck less, meaning more than shishim. Well, the piece is more than shishim. You wouldn't have to wait 6 hours because it's not. What are the two reasons why you have to wait 6 hours? Either because the food's in your teeth, or because it's stitched, and neither one of those fit into these parameters. So therefore,
How big does it
you're
go?
okay. What?
How much does it go? How much?
How to what? That's the problem. To what? So, okay. So what is it? What are the percentages? I don't know. You have to ask your local Orthodox rabbi for that one. I'm not Orthodox right now. um,
So
Yeah.
I mean, why that would be better than the normal top shell that the Shulchan Aruch talked about.
no, tafsha wouldn't be way more. That's right. Tafsha would be
Talking about a carrot in the soup.
right.
So how much chicken is in that carrot? As
Well,
opposed to here,
it's
you're actually
saturated. The carrot, it's saturated with
the
it. No,
tom.
yeah,
The tom makes more. of
I
a
would.
difference
Yeah, I would
than-
think so.
The
I
tom
would
is
think
more
so.
important than the mushroom.
Yeah. Then he says, "Ka'es reisi b'simin beis lechem Yehuda sefer beis lechem Yehuda." I'm in the Pischei Tshuva Zayit. Sifkat and Tezvav shekosav al divrei hashach v'zel l'shoynei. It's a whole lot of Rosh Tevas there. You have a nirali dafka she'eno noisin tam mamoshes b'tavshel rak lachluchis toach al ponim. I mean, you can't be giving tam. It's just there's a little bit of like what would you call it, residue. Avalim noisin amamashas tam betavshel, but if it's actually giving taste in the tavshel, havi kamoi shuman, then it's like fat adkan lashaynei. Ulefize betavshel sheyesh b'shuman ve'ein betavshel shishim kenegdo ein lahakol. If you put in fat and there's no 60 times, then you would have to wait 6 hours. So now we have a machlokes that the Pesach Tshuva brings, whether you have to wait 6 hours for that. Okay, okay, well, my fine.
Tuach means what? Spread?
It's it's like smeared on the pot. That's now. Where does this bring us to? I think we discussed it last week. We said we're going to discuss it more in depth. This major question. I don't know why over the last few years this question came up so much more, but what's the story with the French fries in the oil from the Fleishik restaurant or from the yeshiva's dining room or whatever it is? Because they change that oil as often as Buckram shave when there's no off Shabbos or whatever. Right? I'm saying they're not changing that oil. No, probably way less than that. Right?
It's Hasidim shave.
Yes, a little bit more often than that, right? So they're not changing that oil, not the restaurants, and not now. So what's the story now? What's going on there? Basically, well, first thing you have to do is ask the restaurant what they put into that. If they have an exclusive French fry thing, then obviously it's no issue, right? Question is, what do they fry in this deep fryer? And most of the time, the answer is the chicken, right? So, and you do a lot of chicken. So the question is, if you have those French fries, do you have to wait 6 hours? Now, when you think about it, so you take what if you have a soup and you take out all the meat, you cook the meat in the soup and you take out all the meat, right? And now you go put new vegetables in there. So would anybody say, and now you cook the vegetables, you take out those vegetables. What's the story with those vegetables?
Delicious.
That's what I would say. So why? So then,
Like chicken
Why
soup.
should it be different?
why should this be any different? Right? Okay, so now what you're going to say is that there is a difference because by the soup, the fleischiks and the vegetables were there at the same time. So they mix, mix is much stronger. Here, when you put in the new round of vegetables, it's not in the oil at the same time as the fleischiks. This is a different sugi. This is sugi for later. Meaning there's no more chicken in the
What
oil.
if it's takana? What if you make chicken soup, take it and then vegetables?
It's diluted. Oh, so that's the question. Are there pieces of chicken left? I imagine there are. I imagine there
What if you
are.
make chicken soup, take it and then put vegetables in it? It's the same thing as the frying case. You take the meat
No,
out,
that would be yeah, how much be the same case as the frying.
and that's not by the flavor.
No, that's I'm saying. If the poiskim, okay, so it's a machlokes a poiskim. What the story is with this French fry? Some say it's a problem, right? And then some say it's not a problem. That should be pretty familiar in this religion, Baruch Hashem. And then of course you have the third shita in the middle, which is what I used to say it's a problem. I didn't understand, just like the olam here, right? That's why I guess we get along. We're thinking in the same, which is bad for you. But I'm saying, I would think, how can it not be fleischiks, right? But lamaisa, it's not direct between the again, assuming, see, if this chicken piece is still in there, then I don't see a way around it.
If they switch it
Right?
between the matches, then I'm still fine. But if it's
No, we're talking about they don't switch it. They used it this morning for.
The water's not fleischiks. The water that the chicken soup.
It is,
So
it is,
why not-
but now
why
you're
is
putting
it
it in the neck
reaction?
because it's too far removed.
That's
Again,
considered removed.
yes, it's not going to
But
stick in your
what is
teeth.
chicken?
It's not sticking in your teeth. And the fleischiks is water. Let's call it watered down, diluted, whatever it is, right? Based on this shach here, you can hear it sad. The shach says that even if in the food it's less than shishim, and there's actual mamashas in this pasta, using our example with the cholent pak, there's actual mamashas there. So then you could understand, and the shach yet says you don't have to wait 6 hours. So you could hear that the French fries you don't have to either. So the middle road, which is the safest bet, is do you taste chicken taste when you eat the French fries?
Why not?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying if you do, then you'd have to wait 6 hours. If you don't, then you don't have to wait 6 hours. That's my new. I used to say no. I have actually a shortcut. One second, I do have for those that are out there. Somebody here is tining. Somebody on the online is tining that the oil doesn't penetrate as much as water. I don't know if that's. Yeah, you're thinking that? I could be. I don't know. I was not very
Yeah,
in my secular education from YFR was not so. I mean, YFR did a good job. I didn't do a good job.
Doesn't get saturated.
Here, I'm posting.
but it doesn't matter.
I'm posting my shortcut that I. What?
What do you care that saturated got you? Usually, you
Yeah,
outside of the fries, right? You're eating the whole fish. All right.
Okay, I hear. Okay.
Ah,
Okay, I'm just gonna read out my shortcut. I should post it. I should post it on the
how do you
chat.
know what tastes like chicken? What that? That's you could.
No,
if
we
make
don't know
your
that
own-
nowadays.
Why not?
We know
No.
now that you mix with
Nowadays,
chicken.
you're
You-
testing.
No, this is not like testing for shishim. This is more meaning you eat the French fries. You say like, this. I don't know. I taste that with some chicken in there. I listen. I don't have.
When you're
I don't have
hungry
any.
an hour later from
I-
Netflix, then you decide.
I cannot. I wouldn't be able to. I don't have a sophisticated palate in any way, shape, or form. I eat whatever. If it doesn't, my rules. If it doesn't move, I eat it. So it doesn't, and I have right. And I don't. I don't. I'm not discernible, but I can't discern. That's it. But I'm discernible. But I can't discern between these things. But somebody who has epis sophisticated, some form. I don't know. Eating French fries is considered a sophisticated palate. But who does? There are people that could taste. And okay, that would be the middle of the road. This is what I used to tell people. Depends on how it's made. If they're made in the same oil that's used to fry meat, chicken, then most opinions say you need to wait 6 hours. Some say if you can't taste the meat, chicken, and the food, then you don't have to wait. That's my vague answer that I answer to people. Let them make the decision for themselves. No, you ask the store. You got to ask the store.
Does that mean that people's sophisticated palates have to wait 6 hours?
No. I think you can. If a guy says, "I'm telling you, these fries taste like chicken," then even then, l'chayra, according to the shach, you could understand according to the shach that you wouldn't have to wait 6 hours. Okay, we're spending too much time on this. We got a lot more to do. Yeah. What?
This is because the base lachem yehuda, the idea of the taste.
The reason to be machmer would be base lechem yudah. The reason to be makel would be the first opinion in the situation, right?
It's all in the shop.
Yes. Now, weiter, Rebbe Kiva Eger. Yes, it's an easy Rebbe Kiva Eger. Don't get nervous. Yeah, but this is a major Rebbe Kiva Eger. Rebbe Kiva Eger says the havinat bar nat. Right? You see it? It's nice and tam bar nice and tam. Yeah. So Rebbe Kiva Eger says lanias daiti. Yeah. You see it? Yeah. According to my das, yesh leimer the nafkamina. Again, he's going on the Shach's question on the Ramah that if b'diavad you could add cheese to this thing, then of course you don't have to wait 6 hours. So the Rabbi Kiva Eger says, Yeshem the nafkamina afilu bishlu chaymetz. If you cook vinegar, the charif, which is sharp, and you can substitute vinegar for onions, garlic, whatever, any sharp food. The charif beka'ara shal basar. Now we know that something that's sharp, that gets cooked, even in an Eina ben Yomer pot, makes it a ben Yomer, right? So if you take onions, and a common question, you take onions and you fried it in a fleshik frying pan. Can you now take those onions and put it on your pizza? The answer is a resounding no, right? Because those onions are fleshiks. Rabbi Kiva Eger is saying that's true, but if you eat those onions, then you don't have to wait 6 hours. You are allowed to eat cheese after you eat those onions. You hear that? And that's if you actually cook the onions. Kol shekain, if you just cut them with a knife, which is a chumrah, which we'll get to hopefully soon. Right? So basically, Rabbi Kiva Eger says, and this is the way almost all paskin like that. If you have onions, a very common question, you have onions that were cut with a fleshik knife, and then you eat it, you don't have to wait 6 hours, right? Yeah, that's a very important halacha to know. Okay, along those lines, the poskim say that if you cut an onion with a fleshik knife, you would be allowed to add that onion to fish. Okay? Because that's another leniency along those lines. Because we say that eating fish and meat is only actual fish and meat, not blias. That's why officially you do not need, no pun intended, officially you do not need a fish pot. You can cook fish. You can cook fish in a meat pot, right? You don't need there are those that have a minig to have a separate fish pot, but halachically you don't have to have a separate fish pot. Okay, so anyway, so the point Rabbi Akiva Eiger is making is that you are not going to wait 6 hours, right? Now, what about the opposite? If you're fleishiks, can you eat an onion that was cut with a meat knife?
Shafleishigs, can you?
You're fleishiks. Can you eat an onion that was cut with, I'm sorry, with a milchik knife or cooked in a milchik pot? Again, you're fleishiks. You want to eat an onion that was the onion. We're all in agreement that let's get something straight. If you take that onion and you mix it with cheese, the fleishik onion, going back to the original case of Rabbi Akiva Eiger, you take this onion, you cooked it in a frying pan, fleishik frying pan that hasn't been used in a month. That onion is fleishiks. You mix it together with cheese. According to the basic halacha, till we learn the sugi Bez Hashem in a couple of months, according to the basic halacha, that has to be thrown in the garbage, right? There are makilim, but like not very well known coolers, but well, Bez Hashem, we like the really not well known coolers we like, not well known coolers we like. But in the Pashat, the reading of Shulchan Aruch, that you have to throw out that onion. Yet, Rabbi Akiva Eiger is saying you don't have to wait 6 hours. Okay, so that means the onion's real fleishiks, right? Just don't wait 6 hours. So what happens if you're fleishiks and then somebody's frying onions in a milchik pot? Can you eat those onions?
Find a
It's a
difference.
difference. No, because it's a big difference. Why is it that onions, you don't have to wait 6 hours because it's not getting stuck in your teeth and it's not going to be moishich tam because it's right. But if you're fleishik, but it's milchiks. But here in this case, the onion is milchiks. So if you're fleishiks, you're not allowed to have milchiks. Right? It's a bit. You see, it can make a difference. The smallest little, if you have to understand the sugi of where it comes from, it can make a difference. However, many poskim say you're still allowed to have it, right? But it's not as simple. It's not as simple.
Why? I'm saying blias or moshik tam.
Why would they allow it? Because they say it's a chumrah. It's what you get into a whole combination. Well, Bez Hashem, when we get to onions and Sadivav, we'll hopefully remember to get back to this. We'll get back to this.
Blios, there's no moshik tam by like blios.
There's not much of time.
What's the not stuck in your teeth? What's that supposed to mean? You start deciding what foods get stuck in because onions aren't a kind of food that get stuck in.
Yes, it's not the actual meat. It's not meat that's stuck in your teeth for 6 hours. Yeah, it's onion. It's onion. Okay, one more thing which I think we discussed last week, and that's food cooked in an oven at the same time as open fleishiks. So first let's get straight. If you have chicken or a roast or meat, whatever it is, covered in the oven, and at the same time you're cooking, usually it's potato kugel, right? Or some sort of kugel at the same time. If the meat is covered, there's not a question in the world that kugel is not fleishiks. Question is an open roast in the oven at the same time as a kugel. What's the status of that kugel? So it's mamish the same sugya. It's the same sugya as the onions.
Kugel's open.
Kugel's open. Everything open. Everything open. So it's the same sugi. Now there are those that are going to say that you're not fleishiks because the ovens are vented, etc., etc. We'll get to the oven sugi Be'ez Hashem somewhere down the road, right? But let's assume that we're going to assume that the onions are not vented. That kugel is going to be considered fleishiks, right? I think we discussed this also a few weeks ago. But you don't have to wait. Most opinions are that you don't have to wait 6 hours when you have it. Again, because it's not actual meat and it's not strong enough taste that it's going to stick with you for 6 hours. That's what most say. There are machmirim. I think Rabbi Belsky was machmir. That's what they say. But most others are makel. That's also a common question.
What if you make it milchik lechatchila? Is that the same thing, or
What do you mean?
Svardim? Or b'diavad? If you could Svardim eat it with milchiks or no?
Can Svardim
I
eat?
think it's mamish leishiks or
It's mamish if it's open. Yeah. Okay, so that is basically that sugi. Now let's just finish off the Ramah because this Ramah is really not it's not practical in halacha. V'chein noyagin. It's about, in mine, it's 5 lines up from the end of the Ramah and Sif Gimel. V'chein noyagin lechol basar acher tavshel sheyesh b'gvina oicholam. Going back on the previous Sif, which we learned last week, that's for some types of cheeses. You wait 6 hours, right? But the Ramah is saying that if you have a tavshel shel, if you have a tavshel sheyesh b'gvina oicholam, then you would be allowed to. So our example, I think that we mentioned last week, would be if you have what do you call it? I don't know if we mentioned it here, maybe someplace else. I don't know. You have what do you call a French onion soup? Ah, yeah. I don't know. It has to be French onion. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the French have to do with it. Well, I guess we're French fries, French onion. So the French, yes. So you have a onion soup that has cheese in it, and you have potatoes in this soup. Let's just say you have potatoes in the soup, and there's cheese cooked in the soup. You take out the potato. That's a tafshel. It's not a tafshel shel, but it's the equivalent of the carrot from the chicken soup, right? Right? It's the equivalent. So there, the Ramah is saying everybody says that you can eat meat right after that.
Well, you can eat meat right after you eat cheese.
He's going with even the machmirim that say not, that say you can't, right? In this case, tafshel shel chalav, right, or tafshel shel kavino, you're allowed to eat meat right after that. Okay, meaning it doesn't apply to a tav. It's not negeya. What's a negeya? Other than this, that's the only case that I could come up with, is with this French onion. So what are you going to say? You take a piece of pasta out of macaroni and cheese, a piece of macaroni out of macaroni and cheese. That's not tavshel shabasa. That's tavshel shabasa. That's actual gavina. You're not getting a piece.
Vegetables from chicken soup.
No, but we're talking about the opposite.
Yeah, you
From
take
the
it,
opposite.
eat one noodle.
One noodle that's
A little bit cleaner.
you mean
Thin
it
noodle.
didn't no cheese got on it. But that okay,
Wiped
maybe,
off.
maybe if you found one noodle, because the guy's the one that mixed the cheese in, so he left out half.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, okay. Miu, however, yesh lito yada benem, you have to wash your hands. Vafilu lo yochel basar mamish rak tavshel shel basar acher tavshel shel grina unaga behen yada biyadav. If you touched it with your hands, then you would have. If you ate with your hands, right? So then you would have to wash your hands in between. Okay, fine, and not so negeya. This next one is very negeya. Not so much to bachrim, but to women preparing food in their house. Right, shamish, hamashamish besuda. You have a waiter, but negeya ba'oichlin, and he's touching the food. Eino tzarich natila, dahaya tzarich natila rak la'oichlin. Meaning only those that are eating food need to wash their hands between having milchiks and fleishiks and milchiks, right? Or really, we say it's more negea to milchiks than fleishiks, right? Meaning you have to wash your hands, but only if you're eating. If you're a waiter, so basically you could have a waiter waitering for a milchik meal and a fleishik meal according to the Ramah,
Soon no.
and he doesn't have to wash his hands in between.
Is this soon no muscles or even something gets on his hand actually?
He says negea ba'oichlin.
If his hand dirty or is it clean?
What? I mean, he shouldn't go touching the meat if he sees. We're talking about you don't have to wash your hands. It means for the Torah's chashash that there's some dairy on your hands. To which,
But if there is, you do have to wash your hands.
what?
But let's say there's there.
Yeah, if you know that there would be, then you would have to wash your hands. See, that's what I assume. Now, look at the Berhetiv Yud Gimel. Bashach choylek al zeh. Here you have a shach totally disagrees with the Ramah. But the Rashi Perakol Basar, the Rashi Perakol Basar, loy mashma kain elin in tilas yadayim harishonim laachila. Rashi's talking about there. We're not going to get into this whole sugya, but there's netilas yadayim before a suda, then there's netilas yadayim emtziim, which we don't really do when in the middle of the suda, right? But he's saying elin netilas yadayim harishonim laachila kamashakos barachayim sim kusam gimel avamayim emtziim beim tavshel legvino, but middle water, meaning you're eating it between a cooked cheese, ifchor, the opposite, the taimahu, the nidbak biyadayim. The reason why you'd be washing your hands in the middle of the meal is because we're afraid the food's going to get stuck to your hands. Then pshita the ein chilik bein oichel and negeya. It's pashut that there's no difference between somebody eating and somebody touching. So therefore, the shach disagrees. We paskin like the shach, and you would have to wash your hands in between. So again, the Ramah is saying that a waiter who's waitering for, and let's substitute waiter for somebody who is a good mother who's trying to serve a meat meal, and of course you have that holdout kid that says that they want macaroni and cheese and they don't like that food that she worked so hard to make, right? There's always that holdout guy, right, who's very helpful in learning halacha based on this holdout kid, right? But the bottom line is the mother gives in and says, "Okay, I'll prepare you." So she goes to the fridge and she takes the cheese and she cuts it, whatever. She tears up the American cheese, puts it into the pasta, puts in the macaroni, and now does she have to go wash her hands to go serve the other kid's fleischiks? So the Ramah says no. If she were to eat fleischiks, then yes. But if she's not eating, the Ramah is saying she doesn't have to, because this whole din of washing in between milchiks and fleischiks is only for somebody who's eating, not somebody who is
It's
serving.
actually touching the.
Okay, so that's what the Ramah says, and the Shach says no, that's not what we're talking about. The Shach says that's not what Rashi's talking about. So the Shach just straight out comes and disagrees with the Ramah and says you do have to wash, and that would be the case. Now, because of Chodesh, look in the parentheses here. Mistavra shem moilech umevi hamaychel hamunach beka'ara ein tzarich netilah. Right there, right, the Pri Chodesh saying if she's not actually touching the food, everything's on plates, right? Then it would not be, then she would not have to wash her hands, right?
Mhm.
So, meaning, even according to the Shach, who says that you would have to wash your hands just for food preparation, for this you don't you don't have to wash your hands. Okay, yeah. So that's and the poskim do say that if it's been an hour already, then for sure you don't have to wash your hands. Right? Meaning, let's say somebody was serving dairy to the kids at 4 o'clock. They're eating supper 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then she wants to start preparing fleischiks, and it's been an hour. She hasn't washed her hands. She's not there. Even according to the Shach, you would not be mechuyev to wash your
You
hands.
still got wiped on?
What?
You still got wiped
No,
on?
because after an hour, the whole din of meat based on the Zohar. We said last week, I think we said last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever was it, the Zohar, if you keep an hour, meaning normally between dairy and meat, you have to wash out your mouth, wash your hands, clean, and eat something, right? Quinoa, hadacha, right, natila. After an hour, you don't need that.
Where does a half hour come from? I've
Some
had people-
say the Zohar means a half hour.
Mm.
Kisha. So, anyways,
The
okay.
person waits a half an hour, that's good enough. But this mother.
If you normally wait a half hour, then you would wait a half hour. Yes. Okay, Dalid. Yeah, me. Okay. We'll go a little overtime because I really want to get finished with pay tests. So then, and then we have to decide whether we're doing the next thing or we're going to skip. I think we're going to skip. Okay, Misha Achal Dalid. Yeah, Sif Dalid in the Shulchan Aruch pay test. Misha Achal Gvino. Somebody ate cheese. This is the Motzei Shabbos Sunday morning Shiloh. Okay, every Motzei Shabbos, every Sunday morning. Not meaning these shilas get asked. That's the most prime time that this happens. Misha Achal Gvino. Somebody ate cheese. V'roitz alecha basar, and wants to eat meat. Sarach levar me'al hashulchan sheyurei pasha achlu magvina. You have to get rid of the bread that you ate with the cheese. Right. Let's stop here. That's where on Shavuos. Right, that's why you're supposed to have when the and Hilchos Shavuos when we bring that when you should have a dairy meal, because you have the shtei alechem, like the 2 loaves of bread that were brought on Shavuos. So as a zecher to that, if you have dairy, now you have to get rid of all your bread and you got to bring new bread. So that's shtei lechem. That's where the minute comes from, to eat milchiks on Shavuos, and then in the same meal you eat fleishes. We got to bring new bread, so now you have shtei alechem, right? That's where it comes. So whatever the minhagim are, that's a whole.
Meal, that's
Some the way the paskin in Orach Chaim, yes, in here by Yoredea wasn't as simple. But yeah, that's where the shtei alechem comes from, right? Because you're not allowed to have bread from the table that had milchiks on it, and of course the opposite is also true. Not of course, but yeah, the opposite is also true. So you have leftover bread from your meat meal. Can you make French toast? Right? So l'chayra, you cannot take your leftover challah and make French toast. Right? That's a straight here mechaber. Right? Because we're afraid that there's actual mamoshes of fleischiks Or you can't take bread from a milchik table and put something in fleischiks in it because we're afraid that there's mamashas of things there, of meat or meat or cheese on your bread, right? So you can't make French toast, yeah, with your leftover challah. However, Ramosha finds it as a tshuva. I almost wrote it down and then I forgot, which shouldn't be too hard to find. That Ramosha says it depends. The small pieces of bread on the table and the challah on the table, so that you can't do because we're afraid that there's mamashas on it. But you always have that half a challah, not always, depending on who's by you. But you have a half a challah sitting on the table. That l'chayra people are not touching half a challah. They're touching the bread. They'll pass it and they'll move it around. And so then we're chayshed that there's meat or cheese on it. But the half a loaf that's sitting in the middle of the table, that is not a problem.
I'm just assuming that you leave it out with the fleischiks also. And if you take in the challah before you take out, and then
Yes, of course. If you take in the challah, then it's not a problem. So because then it wasn't on the table with the fleischiks. Yeah, if you bring in the challah, then it's no problem. He also says that if it's in a bread basket or on a challah, like on a challah board, he doesn't say challah board as far as but a bread basket, then we're not chayshed that for that either. We're not chayshed that it got mixed in with pieces of meat because it sat on a basket. Which a lot of times that's what happens. You keep it on the challah board, you keep it in the bread basket, or it's from the large piece, then you would be able to make French toast.
Pasha the Siman, that is like a Russian.
I don't know what Chabad holds. I don't know.
Like it's American. I think America.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, as far as I know. As far as I know, we would make all like that.
So he says small pieces. You don't need to worry about this.
Small pieces, yes.
Small pieces,
Large piece, not. Right?
Small pieces on the table.
But they say that I actually saw it quoted from David Feinstein that if there's kids around, all bets are off. All bets are off if there's kids around. Then you cannot.
But you're at the head of the table and you've been watching and you didn't see.
So if you're aimed on it and you're watching it like a hawk,
Nah,
then if you're confident that you can watch it, it's Milsa del Rami, right? That you get into that. It wasn't really.
What about the open with the dough and the kid? That was called the.
What do you mean?
And so then even if you watch it, still tummy, no?
What do you mean from Megawasa?
No, yeah, there's the kid. Yeah,
What are you talking about?
yeah. Because the kid plays in Ash.
Right, we're talking about Tuma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't care about that.
What I'm saying isn't it? You said even if you watch it,
Yeah, so that's the lumdus. That's the lumdus here. When the kids are around, then it's a problem.
even if you watch though,
Oh, yeah. Maybe if you can't, maybe for your kids you can't watch, but if you watch for yourself, for sure it would work. Right now, although I think as far as I remember, he writes mitzvah min amuvchar that you should not use the bread. Right, but halachically it's okay. And okay, so it doesn't apply to kids, right? Now, what about other foods on the table? Shulchan Aruch is just discussing bread, right? What about other foods on the table? Yeah, like grain, dips, mostly dips.
Is there a spoon in the dip? Or is there no spoon?
Right. So if people are putting in their spoons, their fleishik, and then you can't use it. Right. Other than that, people they want to be medayik that Shulchan Aruch says only bread. Other foods. Why doesn't Shulchan Aruch discuss a salad or whatever? What? Maybe they didn't have some. Strictly. Maybe. I don't know if that's. I don't know.
That was not inflation.
What?
Bread. No, they're vegetables.
I think many people have the hanhoga not to use these same dips for milchiks and for fleishiks. But Me'ikara did, and the post can say it doesn't apply to the dips, or it doesn't apply to other foods. So if you had salt shakers, it could be negaya too, even though we already said before about the salt shakers. Okay, that's whatever your hanhoga is. Yeah. Fine. So that's the first thing in the Shulchan Aruch. Then the Shulchan Aruch says again, Sif Dalet, Basar lechol gvina al mappa she'achlu babasar v'chein lehefech aser. You need to have separate tablecloths for meat and for milk. Right? Yeah, you have to have separate tablecloths for meat and milk. Right?
So we need to wash it or clothes?
Bechlal. Oh, so now we have Pischei Tshuva here. Pischei Tshuva, very important. Pischei Tshuva Ches al Mapel. I am Ashakosar with Vaz Chelik Beis Siman Tov Shin Chof Aleph. Shakosar she'ein divrei harav elo kishay menichin habasar avina al hamapa. That's only when do you need separate tablecloths? This is where you see mamish that when the Metzias changes the halacha. When did you need two separate tablecloths? That's when you ate food directly on the tablecloth and you didn't have plates, right? Then of course you're afraid. You ate pasta with cheese on the tablecloth, and then an hour later or 5 hours later, you decide to put your cholent straight down on the tablecloth. So of course you need two different tablecloths, right? Our minig is you put the food on the table in plates. Hilkach afilu lotzes yidei chumras harashba, because this is based on a rashba. Zal behipoch hamapa lechur ubasaras psisin sagi. All you have to do is flip the tablecloth. Why flipping the tablecloth works, I don't know. Probably because it was thick enough that there's no pieces. Right? And he says just sweep it. Sweep, just sweep off the crumbs, and then you're okay. V'chein nagu, and that is the minig. So he's saying that the minig is you don't have to have different tablecloths because we eat on what?
By us, even by us.
One second, but what did he say about the Rashba?
By us, so foods. Yeah, so that's the thing. Was that enough of a chashash?
One second, is he saying that who's the Rashba? The Rashba's
Is who the Shulchan Aruch is quoting. Right? Yeah.
So washing definitely.
Washing it would fulfill this. It would fulfill this. Now, that's not the minig in Klal Yisrael is that you have two separate tablecloths. Right? That is the minig that Klal Yisrael has adopted. Do you really need it? Hard to say.
Turn over the tablecloth and sweep it off.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Which side?
Well, the one that you just ate on, right? The poskim say though, you don't need two tablecloths, right? This is good for shalom bayis here, or maybe not good for shalom bayis, because if the girl learned in seminary that you need two tablecloths, then you come and say it cause problems. But l'chayra, you can use the tablecloth for either milchiks or fleishiks, and then just use the tablecloth for the other. Right?
The table for one.
The table's one, and then like people use for ovens.
Like
the oven, my oven's fleshik. If I want to cook milchiks, I cook it in there covered. So that you could do. You could also have placemats as opposed to tablecloths. Right? What?
Regular table with what was it?
just
Regular-
a couch. With like,
A regular table, you would have to put something down. People listen to fleishiks.
Or what this with the sheet that says that something might get through. I mean, it was like there's fabric, plastic. There's no. I think it got. I mean, when you flip it,
Sometimes
What?
plastic is not. Plastic is not.
I think it got
porous.
through. I mean, what?
Sometimes plastic is porous. Listen, you can come with whatever answer you want, but me'ikara didn't. You can't. It's hard to say that nowadays you need a tablecloth. It's one of those things that it's a minig. Now, what is a negeya? So you have people that go home to the family that they're not so from, and they're not, or they're totally not from. That's a big Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of the people that have not religious family go home for Thanksgiving, and they make themselves nuts. Okay, so they don't have a tablecloth for milchiks and for fleishiks. Obviously, they're not religious, so they get all nervous. Just relax. It's okay. You can be samech on this, that you don't necessarily need it. Now, halacha that comes up in Pesach, and you can poskim all say that you can kasher a tablecloth by just washing it in the hot with hot. That's enough to kasher the tablecloth. So you could really use the same tablecloth as long as you wash it, as you wash in between. Right? Wash it meaning in a washing machine, not wipe it down. Right? Because he's saying wipe it down doesn't work.
In Cuba, that's in Shirum where guys are always drinking coffee, always bringing their food there. You know someone at Milchix there yesterday, you cannot replace it.
It's a good question.
Flip it over.
It's a good question. What, flip the desk?
It's a minute.
Yeah. So I would say you don't have to worry about it. Why not? I mean, wipe it down. Just wipe down the area,
Eat on a plate.
and then you're okay. No, he's saying even with the plate. He's saying really it's a chumrah. The whole thing is a chumrah from the Rashba. The whole thing is a chumrah. Now the Ridvaz is saying that even what?
I can eat on a park bench then. Food's not on the bench.
Because you're eating on a plate. I mean, it seems like in a temporary, with all these chumras, in a temporary situation, it's not usually such a problem, right? Now, just sometimes, it's Motzei Shabbos. This is my fourth shir of the night, and I think I need some chizik. I need some chizik, like, yeah. So I need some chizik. Like, what am I doing here? Am I taking on too much? You can ask my kids. It's a whole conversation, right? But then sometimes Hashem bails me out and makes me feel good. Whether this is legit or not, I have no idea. I'm going to read you over two shilas that came in the last hour. Okay, and that gives me a chizik. Like, it must be I'm doing the right thing. Maybe. I mean, not maybe, but it must be. Yeah, one shot.
Very nice to Rebbe's kids for Sunday.
I have a loaf of sour. I'm just reading the shot. It came, mamish. I guess I could post it on the chat this week, but I'll just because it happened tonight, and I guess, some chizik, some amel. Okay, I have a loaf of sourdough that's parv, was not warmed up, was cut with a cold but fleshik knife. Okay, actually, this is coming up in a minute. I should have waited for this one. Only a third of the loaf was cut up, but I cut from the other side with a milchik bread knife and have cheese with it. No, let's hold off of that because that's coming up in a second. When I was eating rogalach on my Shabbos table and some challah crumbs got on it from the table, which fleischiks was eaten on, is that a problem?
No.
Meaning, let's say some stains in the tablecloth which had fleischiks and the crumbs were on.
The crumbs are fun.
And he's a rugel of meat. That's the question.
Yes.
Shake the ruggle.
But this is the reason why you're supposed to have different tablecloths. And then the person said that there's stains and and it got on the stains. Okay, whatever the answer is, I was just saying it to gloat that this shal is not often, and it came in as I was on my way over here. Right? So can we say that's enough chizik?
He sends out from that week.
Yes.
The actual styles?
Yes. When I'm sending out, yes.
Oh, I thought
No, I'm
Rebbe's not making those up. The
No,
real styles are again.
they should not making it up.
They're from one.
I thought Rebbe
Yes.
that's not.
It's actually it's those that I remember to cut and paste. There's more.
Wow.
I'm trying to tell you I have. I'm trying to tell you I have no life. I'm trying. You understand?
But how much?
Not all the questions that you text me get to, right? Sometimes, like,
I don't know. Whatever.
How many showers do you got a day?
Yes, the chat. If you're asking, that we'll discuss later. On the chat, on the Basar Bechalav chat, that if you're not on it, if on the halacha chat, if you send the word Basar, Basar, then we post once, twice a week shilas that come up, and just so that the oilam gets a feel for what's out there and hopefully can understand it. So that's what I keep referring to. But anyway, so this one came through. Whether I remember that I said it over tonight or whether I should send it out again. Be mindful me if I send it out on the chat. Well, you have to come up with the answer, so maybe I will send it out on the chat. Okay. Anyways, weiter. Yeah, it's getting late. Here we go. Ready? Next one. V'chol shekain. We're in the mechaber. V'chol shekain. I know we're going overtime because I really want to just get pay tests on the wraps here, but it's going to run another bit. V'chol shekain she'asur lachta gvina. You're not allowed to cut cheese, afilu tzainenes, even cold cheese, besakin sheregilin lachta basar, with a knife that you normally cut basar. Meaning, what the mechaber is coming off in this, we're going to get to this Bez Hashem in a couple of weeks, is normally cold, and cold is not a problem, right? I think that we all know that basic thing. You take your soup spoon from Shabbos, Ben Yoimai, and you eat yogurt with it, or ice cream on Motzei Shabbos, you eat ice cream on Motzei Shabbos, that's not a problem. It's cold with cold. That doesn't apply to knives. Okay, knives is a whole different sugya. So that's what the mechaber is saying. Kol shekain, I'm reading it again. Kol shekain she'asur lachta gvina, that you're not allowed to cut cheese, afilu tzainenes, even cold, besakin sheregilin lachta basar, with a knife that you normally cut meat. Yeah? So why? Because a knife has what we call shamnunis. A knife, if you ever look at the knives, because there's pressure, what's called ducha de sakina, it's very hard. It's much harder to clean a knife. This is true if anybody's ever washed dishes, right? When a knife cuts something fatty, that residue stays on that knife, and a knife is lav dafka. It could be a fork also. It could be a spoon too. Meaning, if it's used with pressure through something, through cheese to cut cheese or to cut a meat, that residue sits on that knife. So we're chayshid that the residue, that the knives were not cleaned well enough, and we're choshed that the residue, again, there's no taste coming out of the knife. That now we're not worried about taste coming because it's all cold. Cold can only transfer with heat, right? But we're afraid that on the outside of the knife there's some shamnunis that rubbed off, right? So you cannot use a meat knife to cut dairy and cheese, and you can't use a cheese knife to cut meat.
Even if
right?
it's not serrated?
Even if it's not serrated. What?
Wouldn't that be butter?
It doesn't. There's no bittel. We're afraid that on the piece that you're eating of meat, there's some cheese there.
And there's no big on that?
No, because this bittel means it has to go through the whole thing. See, no, he's asking a good question. Meaning, why isn't it bittel? Because it's we're afraid that it's there. It's mamash. Bittel means if you lost. That's what the daf. It has to be lost inside the mixtures. This is not. This is not being lost inside the mixture. We're afraid on the edge of the meat, that piece of meat where it was cut with the cheese knife, we're afraid that there's residue of cheese, right?
If you clean the knife with soap and you look at it,
Oh,
you
so
examine
okay, one
it,
second, we're gonna get to that.
no
We'll get to
mamash,
that. We'll get to
no-
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But that's the chashash. Right? Veloyoid. Veloyoid. El afilu hapas sha'oichlem imagvina. Bread that you're eating with the cheese, also lachtach besaken shechoikim havos. You can't take your steak knife and cut your bread and then put cheese on it, which was the question that was the other question that came through tonight, right?
Cheese on the.
You cannot take a meat knife, cut bread with it, and then put cheese on it.
Oh, because there might be meat on the.
Because there might be meat on the knife, there's residue on the knife. That is an interesting Rebbe Kiva Eger.
The question was that it was on different parts of the thread that they cut.
Correct, but we're afraid that there's mamashas there.
You take a loaf of bread and there's two separate parts. Why would there be a mushroom of meat on the side that wasn't touched?
No, and Hanami, the side that didn't touch, only the side that you touched would be a
Right,
problem.
That's what they was asking about. Was the same loaf of bread, but it's two different
Yeah,
sides.
his question, yeah, that's a different thing, but let's get to the basic of it. Right? It doesn't make a difference if the knife is ben yomer or not, because ben yomer only works with taste. Again, this is not the sugi here. The sugi is later on. It's Adi Dalit. But there's two things. When you have ben yomer and taste, that's to get taste that gets pulled out of a utensil. Right? This is mamashas. It's a different sugi. We're worried that on your piece of meat that you just cut with a cheese knife, there's residue there. It's nothing to do with this. It's not gonna make a difference. It's ben yomer, not ben yomer, right? Okay. So anyway, so even the bread is a problem, right? So again, even bread is a problem. Yeah. Which fine. Then the Rama says v'chein lehepich. I think it's getting a little late for the oil. V'chein lehepich nami aser. The opposite is also aser, right? Miu al yedei neitza bekarka kasha shari. If you stick it, the knife in the ground, hard ground. Now this is not the sugi of neitza, but if you stick it in the ground 10 times, then that cleans the residue off the knife. I don't want to discuss the whole neitza bekarka thing right now, but how that works, I don't know. You have to have a munas chachamim that what happens if you stick it in the ground 9 times, right? So yeah. Yeah, way back when. Let's say 9 times. Or what happens if, like he was asking, like you use steel wool? So many persons say steel wool will replace needs.
Still,
The metal
You
stuff
see, you can wash dishes.
that you can wash dishes.
Has to be still wool 10 times. It's
No, that's just enough to get it off, right?
It's like,
Now, unfortunately, unfortunately, there's a lot of misunderstanding with Itza Bakarka. I don't know if you guys were ever zeicher to go to your grandparents, or in the old days, you'd go to a older woman's house and there'd be your flower pot with like 10 knives sticking in it, right? Like they're growing knives. That's just a misunderstanding of the halacha. It doesn't help to keep your knife in a flower pot for a week. That doesn't work. It needs to go in 10 times. Right.
Yeah, flower pot works. Not
The
just-
question is, does a flower pot work? Because it can't be like in the sand by the ocean. That's too soft. Obviously, if it's too hard, you're probably gonna cut yourself because you're not even gonna go in. So it needs to be somewhere in the middle.
Regular
Right.
ground.
What?
Regular ground. not
Regular
like
ground. Yes. Now,
I I used to have pots. I used to live in Manhattan in an apartment building. I used to have flower pots on the outside.
Right.
My father told me to kosher knife.
Sticking in 10 times?
Yes.
10 times though.
Yes.
Okay, good. At least he didn't tell you to keep it there for a week. Good. Baruch Hashem. What? No, that was Takasha. Okay. But anyways, on this, it's a long thing, but the Taz and the Shach have a major machlokes that manifests itself in 3 ways. Should we just call it a night already? I don't know. I'm saying it's 10:47. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Let's. You leave that. Okay. Yeah. It's too much already. 1 second. Next week, I'm gonna read the questions now for whoever wants to stick on. We'll read the questions. Next week I am not around, so we could still have shear. I'm gonna have to put my money where my mouth is, even though it's been Azmana for me, which is not, but it's. I'll be in Phoenix, but the Rosh Hashiva Elio Ikovic that we named him Rosh Hashiva last week. He one arranges all this the technology part. His mother's yard site, so I'm going to Phoenix where he lives, and I'm gonna chew their ear off a little bit on Shabbos.
You could
And
be on Zoom though. We have Zoom.
what's up? So we're gonna do it, but only on Zoom next. I mean, your items welcome to come here and be on Zoom next today. My mother's not gonna be here for Shabbos either, so I don't know what food will be available. Depends on parrots. He's the Scan Rosh Hashiva. I don't know, but he's the Rav. He's the Rav. So we will have it. But it'll be around 9:45, 10 o'clock. We'll post during the week.
If Parrots is willing, I'll sponsor the Malamamaka.
Ah, there you go. Oh, because the Yotza.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you some questions here.
Whoa, Icky, that's you gotta give me a limit of what was served. You know what I mean?
What? I'm
Here.
You don't want to give me a
Mike, if you don't have any placemats on the table, that's okay. Make it.
Make it right in. Yes, it's okay. Huh? Two. In the summer, it's 3. It's only 2.
Siman
It's
for
only
5.
2. It'll be Berach. I mean, the
How
daf
many
goes
guys
first.
are there now on average?
How many guys are here now? I don't know. 20? 20 guys?
Might need a couple of
Good
pause.
job.
What does mommy serve you?
No, whatever was left over on the table from your kiddush and my shear in the afternoon, that's what they're eating.
My kiddush gets cleaned up.
Oh, what?
Parrots, what's on the menu? We'll negotiate.
Food related child.
Food related child.
I heard that Oreos that are flavored are really milky.
It's each individual one needs to be checked into. There's a search engine from the OU that you can put it in and it'll tell you. It'll tell you if it's dairy equipment or if it's dairy. As far as I remember from years ago, they were all still D. They were DE, not D. Yeah, I'm just saying from years ago. I'm saying from years ago. I don't know what.
Even if it's D, that means call staff.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
Yes.
not having Rabbi Kiva that we said that the onions are fine,
Right.
Meaning,
So not really 6 hours.
what?
Yeah.
Onions when somebody ate, even though they're fully, what's it called? There's all the time of the meat in it or whatever it was,
Right.
right? Doesn't make the guy play shit. Yet the carrot from the chicken soup will.
The carrot from yes, that's a tafshel.
What's the difference between an onion and a carrot?
Because
both
it's a
don't-
tafshel. And according to the mechaber, that doesn't make you taka doesn't make you 6 hours. You don't do it 6 hours.
We're not like the mechaber.
We are not.
So we won't eat the carrot,
Right.
but we will eat the onions, even though.
We'll eat. You eat both. The question is, you can wait 6 hours.
But I just don't have the chiluk
The chilik.
between
One is mamish cooked together. It's mamish considered a piece of fleishiks. This other one's also fleishiks, but not strong enough. It's just not strong enough.
We never. There's no nafkaminas in not barnat or anything else. The onions just.
No, we're saying there is enough kamina not barnad. That's what we're saying.
Over here, but I'm saying in actual basar chol, not waiting 6 hours. There's no nafkamina.
No, but that's what Rabbi Kiva is saying. There is for this is enough kamina. Not everybody agrees with Rabbi Kiva. Not everybody agrees with him. But yeah. It's yes, it is. Yeah.
And like I'm also still like confused with the shot. Like you have the chilling box, you have the
And make sure it's not
mamashas.
Uh-huh.
So mamashas gives time. It's not
It's not common. Yes, it's like half baked.
Right. Like very like
Like Siman, you know.
What's a shear? What's chicken and chicken soup and what's my mushrooms?
Ah, yes, enough.
So if we come here for
No
Zoom,
problem.
like,
It's well.
we
What?
just don't have access to Zoom.
Oh, you want to come in here? Yeah, you can come in here.
We're having
Right now,
Zoom.
we're saying like
How you getting Zoom?
We all have it.
Parrots. You think you come over here with a screen up? I have a.
Yeah, remind me, how big of a screen you want?
Well, why can't you just call in? Call into the Zoom.
May I call the Zoom?
You can call into the Zoom.
If you cut bread with a knife that was used to cut flakings, if you then could you just cut off?
Yes, we didn't get to that. That's what we left. We left you hanging. We left you hanging. Just don't do it till next week, till after next Mitzvah Shabbos. Hold it, freeze the bread until.
if the whole reason for the knife is because caught the flake sticks and the pressure. So does that mean only knife used for steak, or meaning we have
Any knife that's used for pressure.
That's never been used for steak, but always with flake sticks.
No, that would be
So that
fine.
wouldn't happen.
That would be fine. Yes.
And then if you let's say you take from a dip, and you always have those people that like hit their plate. When they,
Right. So that's I don't know. That's a good question. I no, it would not. I don't think it
What
would
if
make
there's
a
flake
place.
sticks on a plate? So you know, let's say some got on the bottom of the spoon. You don't know how much.
Yeah.
More. Not like this.
It's gonna be
Bacon.
fun. We're worried about my muscles. We're not worried about bitro.
So if that spoon touched the flake stick plate and went back in, you could eat it and it won't make you flake sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, just let me answer a few for the island online because they're already. I'm assuming the guys that asked the questions are still on. Onion. Okay, cook fish in a Benjamin meat pot. We said that's okay. If your flesh is able to eat fries from a pizza shop, that would be the same question as the onions, meaning the assumption would be if you hold it, you can't eat onions, and you would not be able to eat the fries from the pizza shop. I believe that you cannot, but you'd have to ask the pizza shop what exactly they do with the fries. The onion, the kugel had to be cooked with a power of knife. No, not necessarily, because we said you don't have to wait 6 hours, even if you cut onions with a fleshik knife. Kugel or cookies baked in an oven that was used for fleshing last 24 hours. That's for sure not a question. You don't have to wait 6 hours on that. Are we going back to Pei Zion or continuing? That's a good question. I think we're going to continue because Pei Zion is separate. Now we're getting heavy into Tam and Mamosha, so I think I want to stick with that. If meat falls into the dip, can you scoop the meat out and the rest is fine? Yes. Yes. Okay, that's the chat. When you can't take the challah and make French toast if you keep it parv, why can't you take challah and make French toast if you keep it parv? Yes, I meant French toast with dairy. Yes, I should have clarified that. Why can't you have blias of the meat going into the dairy? I'm not sure what that question. I'm not sure what that means.
Like, can I borrow this?
Yes, but just return it.
Can I write the name signs?
Yes, please. Yes. Can I use the same tablecloth for meat and milk if it's washed in between? We discussed that. Does it make a difference if it's washed in hot or cold water? Yeah, it should be washed in hot water. The next one doesn't make a difference if the knife has been yomoy?
It's
Why is there such a thing as not being allowed to eat something with milchiks? Because the answer to that is because there's two reasons why you have to wait 6 hours. Either because things are in your teeth or because the taste sticks with you. That's why you have to eat 6 hours, even though it's considered meat, but it doesn't necessarily fit into those two parameters and you don't have to wait 6 hours. I mean, it's two different dinim.
Don't let it be.
It's two different dinim. ChatGPT says that new vegetables absorb in new soup more than it does oil. That's very interesting because that actually is today's daf. Today's daf discusses vegetables absorbed with oil. Okay, who had a question? They gave up already? Somebody was wondering. What? He left? He gave up? All right. Tell him to come back. Good.
Oh, I'll set it up next week. I'll put up a screen
Oh, we got to bring food then.
and food.
Projectors on food. Let's get.
What's the difference between mambashas from a chalpan and bread versus table fay? You're right. You would not have to wait. We didn't get to this part yet. We'll do it next week, but you don't, what we just discussed at the end, that you cut a knife with fleshik, you cut a bread with a fleshik knife. If you eat that bread, you would not have to wait 6 hours. You would not have to wait 6 hours for that, right? That would not require 6 hours, but you would not be able to eat it with dairy. It's the same thought process.
French fries But I think it's all of them. At least most of them are a little bit dripping in oil.
Right.
Literally, so what is that?
That's good. That's good.
Even this much fish comes fish, you're literally eating it. That doesn't matter still.
Yeah.
Won't make a difference.
Again,
And if
your
someone said it doesn't
inflation.
penetrate, I don't even know what that means. It's squeezing and it'll come dripping out. I don't know what that means. Oil doesn't penetrate.
I don't know. I don't know.
Even if it's dripping in oil, if it doesn't have schnitzel
Yeah.
pieces in there, whatever, you can eat it.
I'm not. If you go with those opinions that say it's okay, yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Fine. Everybody should have a good Tvach. Psudas Tovus.